Hari Om. Now today's subject is Karma Yoga. The meaning of the word yoga is the development of Atman to the highest level of Paramatman is yoga. But now this process of evolution is attained through the path of karma, that is actions. So it is called Karma Yoga. And specifically, Bhagavad Gita is emphasizing much more on Karma Yoga only. Of course, Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga is explained in Bhagavad Gita. But Lord Krishna gives more emphasis on Karma Yoga only. And Karma Yoga is a selfless devotion of all inner as well as outer activities as a sacrifice to the Lord or the God. This is the basic concept of Karma Yoga. And this is explained in much detail in Bhagavad Gita. So we'll also refer some of the important shlokas from Bhagavad Gita while learning this technique of Karma Yoga. But basically we have to understand the meaning of karma. Of course, meaning of karma in Karma Yoga is little bit specific as compared with the meaning in the dictionary. Dictionary meaning of karma is action. Whatever action is there, it is called karma as far as the dictionary is concerned. So let us analyze and come to the conclusion of the meaning karma in Karma Yoga. Now the actions or karma we do physically and mentally both. Mind also does some karma and body also does it. So we do it physically as well as mentally. And when we do some karma, some action, there is some change outside and inside also. And ultimately there is the result of karma, which is called karma phala. You may call it fruits of karma. That is the result of karmas. So we can conclude one thing, that karma is always associated with fruits. Yes, definitely. You think of any karma, it will have some fruits. Maybe physical, maybe mental, maybe for you, maybe for others. That details we'll discuss. But this is a basic concept that every karma is associated with results or fruits. So karma is there with karma phala. That is the basic concept of karma. Now let us see. Some karmas we do for ourselves, which is connected with ourself only. And some karmas we do for others. So both are totally different. Suppose I feel thirsty, so I drink water. So drinking water is a karma. That is done for me only, not connected with anybody else. So when we do some karmas ourselves, now we have studied the karma is associated with fruits. So this karma is also associated with fruit. Sometimes the fruit is joy and sometimes the fruit is sorrow. This we are experiencing every now and then in our life. So karmas for ourselves, some karmas may give the result as joy, some karmas may give result as sorrow. So that is for ourselves only. So this meaning is not included in karma, in the Karma Yoga. Because we are selecting the karma, deciding to do it and do it. So we have to enjoy the fruit, whatever it is, maybe joy or maybe sorrow. We should not complain about that because that is done by us only. So this is not considered as a karma in Karma Yoga. Now the important point is karma for others. Others means we are doing the karma. but it is connected with others in one or the other way. And that is why it is resulting on others also. If the result is good for others, then it is called punya, punya karma. And if the result is bad for others, it is called papa karma. And it is punya karma or papa karma for me because I have done the karma. But it is punya because it is good for others. It is pap because it is bad for others. These are the basic concepts of punya and pap. I'll make it clear with one example. Suppose I am thirsty, I take a water, I drink a glass full of water, and I am satisfied. So that satisfaction is the result. Drinking water is the karma. But both the things are for me only. So that is not included in karma of karma yoga. But at the same time, I am thirsty, I take a glass full of water, but some person comes there and he tells me that he is very much thirsty, he needs water very badly. So I offer him the water. He drinks the water and he becomes happy. Now this is karma done by me. I have offered the water. And with that, the other person is satisfied, happy. So it's a good karma. So this is punya karma. But further, I am thirsty. Some person has got a glass full of water. He is also thirsty. He wants to drink it. But I snatch the water glass from him and drink myself. So when I drink myself, I am happy. But that other person his condition is miserable. He wanted to drink and I could not allow him to drink, but I drank his water. So this is a papa karma for me. Because with my karma, the other person is disturbed. He is sad. His condition is miserable because of my karma. So this is papa karma for me. And when I offer the water, the result is bliss. He is very good. He is very happy. So that is punya karma for me. So this papa karma or punya karma, these are the karmas connected with karma yoga. And now we'll be discussing for these things only hereafter. Karmas for personal results, we don't have to bother about. So if you understand this basic concept of punya and pap, that's good. Now whenever I use the word karma, it means karma which is connected with others. Maybe punya, maybe pap. So karma has to yield the fruits. But sometimes there is an immediate result. I do some karma and I get the result. Suppose I have given a glass full of water to a thirsty person and he gives me thanks. So when he gives me thanks, I get the result, good result. I have done the punya karma, good karma. So I am also happy by getting the thanks. So I get good results, immediate result. If I blame somebody or fight with somebody, he will also fight with me, or he will also blame me. So blaming others is papa karma because the other person is disturbed. And because of that, he blames me, so I am also getting disturbed. So I had done the papa karma, so results are also bad. That means for good karmas, the results are good for me, the person who is doing karma. For bad karmas, the results are bad. This is also one more important point we must note. But now this I am talking about immediate results. You have done something and you get the immediate result. If you help somebody and he is very happy, so he gives Lot of compliments to you. So immediate. This type of karma is called Kriyamana karma. These are all Sanskrit words. There is no English word for this. We have to use the Sanskrit word only. Now the second level is Sanchita karma. That means you have done some karma, but there is no result right now. But we studied the principle, every karma is associated with results. But immediate result, Kriyaman karma. And not given any result right now. You can say waiting to give results. It is stored in Karmashaya with Atman. Karmashaya is storage of karmas. And those karmas which are not given the results, those karmas are stored. If karma is there and result is there, it is finished. Account of that karma is closed. Because karma is done, whether papa or punya. But the result also is there. So you have to do the karmas and experience the results. Then that account of karma is closed. But if you are not experiencing the results, then karma is waiting to give results. And that is called Sanchita karma. Sanchit means stored. And storage of karma is called Karmashaya. And that Karmashaya is connected with Atman and not the body. This is like that. So you appear for certain exam. So you write answer books and all that. Complete the exam. But result is waiting. You are getting the result after 1 month or even 2 months. Then whatever karma you have done, whatever exam you have given is Sanchit karma. So like that, in our day-to-day life also, we are doing so many karmas. Some karmas give the immediate result which we know. That this, I have done this karma, this is the result. That is Kriyaman karma, but that karma account is closed. But there are many karmas which we do it, but we don't get the result immediately. So these are all Sanchit karma. These are stored in account of Atman. And third level, when the Sanchit karma start giving the result, it is called Prarabdha. Even knowing this word Prarabdha, it is for that only. It is Sanchit karma only. But up till now, that Sanchit karma is not giving any result. But now the Sanchit karma has started giving result. Then it is called Prarabdha. So these are three types or three levels you can say. Kriyaman karma, immediate result. Sanchit karma, waiting for results. And Prarabdha karma, started giving the results. These are the three important concepts in karma. So Karmashaya is very important. Yes, Kriyaman karma yields the results and that account is closed. But Sanchit karma is, result is waiting. In accounting terminology, we can say Kriyaman karma is cash transaction. You take some money, take some article, pay the money, the account is closed. But Sanchit karma is credit transaction. You may purchase something, but you will tell that person, I will pay you after 1 month. He waits, no problem. But that is a credit account. And that account continues in your balance sheet. That is Karmashaya. Till you pay off the money. It may be the reverse way also. You may give some article, then the other person doesn't give the money. He says he will give it after some time. So that account is carried forward. Credit balance may be there, debit balance may be there. But account is continued. Even year after year. So it is carried forward in the balance sheet. Those who are writing accounts, they may be knowing this terminology. Credit balance, debit balance, it is always there in balance sheet. It carried forward for years together. So that balance sheet is Karmashaya. And credit and debit balance is Punya karma, debit balance is Papa karma. And that is stored in Karmashaya. And this storage is not only for this birth, but it is for all previous births also. This is more important. Because it is connected with Atman. And you know, the Atman is immortal. Atman takes a new body, it is a new birth. And Atman continues with that body, maybe for 90, 100 years. Then Atman leaves that body, takes the another body. So that is a rebirth. So Atman is constant. Body is changing by birth. So this Karmashay balance sheet is for Atman, not for the body. But he has to do the karmas with the body, and he has to experience the fruits also through the bodies only. Body has to be there. That is why it is called that as long as the Karmashay is there with Atman, Atman has to select new body and start new life. But when the Karmashay becomes zero, that means there is no addition, and whatever is talk is cleared off. It's like balance sheet. We can clear off credits and debit fully. Then the balance sheet is closed. So this balance sheet of our life, our lives we can say, that is Karmashay. As long as it is not closed, Atman has to take new birth. So Karmashay is responsible for birth and death cycle. And to reduce this Karmashay only, different paths of yoga are mentioned. In Patanjali also talking about this. Karmashay is there and you have to reduce the Karmashay. There are two ways. One, you have to experience the fruits, whatever karmas are stored. And do not add any karmas. But it is very difficult not to add the karmas. And that is why in Bhagavad Gita, the path of karma. We'll just have a look on rules of karma yoga first, and then solution for that. The first is every karma yields the fruits, and one has to bear the fruits. That means we cannot avoid. Whether it is good or bad, that doesn't matter. But we have to experience. You say, I don't want the fruit. You can't say like that. You have to experience. Whether it is good, you have to experience good fruits. Whether it is a papa karma, you have to experience the bad fruits. And even the principle of science also is there. Action and reaction are equal and opposite. It's like karma and fruit is action and reaction. So same principle is there. Now second rule is good karmas, that is punya karmas, yields good fruits. It is pleasure. So you are happy, you are pleasurable with those fruits. And bad karmas, papa karmas, yields bad fruits. That is miseries, you have to suffer. The third very important rule, nobody can escape from the fruits, even if he is a king or anybody. So nobody can escape from the fruits. Everybody has to experience and bear with the fruits, good or bad. Then one more important rule, this everyone has to bear the fruits of good and bad karmas separately. That is, we can say there is no algebraic sum of this. Suppose a person has done 100 good karmas and 10 bad karmas. So he has to experience the results of 100 good karmas and 10 bad karmas separately, good and bad results. He can't say, I had done 100 good, I had done 10 bad, so minus 10 from that 100 and give me only fruits of 90 good karmas. No, this will not work. He has to bear the fruits of all 100 good karmas and bear the all bad karmas fruits also, separately. When the karma is done, whether knowingly or unknowingly, it is going to yield the corresponding fruit. And one can say, I had done the karma, but I was not knowing anything, it unknowingly I had done the karma. But still, karma is done, then fruits must be there. Good karma, good fruit, bad karma, bad fruits. Whether you have done it knowingly or unknowingly, that is not the excuse. When there is a perfect equality, all rules are common for everybody, there is no exemption. So everybody has to bear with all these results. No exception. And the account of karma is closed only after experiencing the fruits of the same. Till that, it is stored in karmashay. And it's when you experience the fruits, then that particular account is closed. Just as our accounting process. If you have to pay somebody 1,000 rupees, account will continue till you pay 1,000 rupees. When you pay 1,000 rupees, the account will be closed. Or vice versa also. So in our life, we experience the fruits for some karmas which we might have done in previous birth also. We don't know. We don't know anything about previous birth. We don't know what karmas we have done in previous birth. We don't know what birth was there. But still, previous birth was there. We have done some karmas. And whatever the karmas are there, they can yield the fruits in this birth also. That happens many times. A person feels sick. There is no reason. Maybe serious. And he has to think, this is my karma only. I had done something wrong in previous birth. That is why I had to suffer this misery. So I will suffer it. So he's mentally get adjusted with all those things. But sometimes one person gets a lottery of few lakhs of rupees. He's not done any good karma, but he got a lot of money. He should think that in previous birth he might have done some good work, some punya karma. That is why he is getting these good results. So like this, the account is carried forward, but account is closed for a particular karma when the fruits are experienced. Next one is karmas stored in karmashay are responsible for the rebirth. Because when there is a storage of karmas, that Atman has to bear the fruits. But for experiencing the results of fruits, body is required. Just Atman cannot experience the results. Body is required. So he has to take a new body. That is why it is said that karmashay is responsible for the rebirth. And of course, that rebirth depends on what are the karmas. If there are good karmas, the rebirth was good, you will enjoy the life. If there are bad karmas, you will have to suffer. Suppose Atman takes a new body with some karmashay. So in the new life, that Atman will experience the fruits of previous karmas, good or bad. But at the same time, he will do some new karmas also. So some old karmas, the account will be closed. But the new karmas, the account will be open. That is why this is never-ending chain of birth, life, death and rebirth. It is continued. Now this cycle can end only after emptying the karmashay to zero. And that is why how to make karmashay zero. It's a question before yoga. Yoga gives the solution for that. Different types of yoga. What we are studying is all right, correct. So they all different types of yogas, they provide some solution for this, how to emptying karmashay to zero. That means experiencing the fruits of previous karmas and not adding the new karmas. So no new accounts and old accounts are cleared off. Then we can say balance sheet is zero. Now our previous karmas are responsible for our present sufferings and nothing else. So we are only the responsible for our sufferings. This is a very interesting concept. And you also can experience, if you just really study this and experience yourself and understand fully, then your suffering will be less. As you will mentally get adjusted with the sufferings. So your pain and miseries in the life will be less. And all these laws of karma are cosmic justice and cannot be changed or altered. It is not law of majority. It's a cosmic justice. So nobody can change it. Of course, these laws cannot be proved by research experiment and all that. Because this is birth cycles. But logically we can understand these things, we can accept these things and follow in our life also. Now let us come to the Bhagavad Gita explanation now. After understanding all these things. Karma is responsible for rebirth and keep the cycle of birth and death continued. Yes, you understood this. But the karma done in particular way can give relief from this cycle. Yes, this is the solution now. We have to do the karmas, we cannot escape from the karma. But how to do the karma? That is explained in Bhagavad Gita. And that is Karma Yoga. So this technique of doing karma is explained in Karma Yoga and particularly in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita calls it Nishkama Karma. How to do the karmas? Do karmas Nishkama Karma. If you do like this, I am going to explain the details. If you do like this, then that karma will not add it to your account. So we got the solution. Whatever storage karmas are there, we have to experience the fruits, good or bad, both. But don't add it. How to do this? We have to do the karma, but we should do the karma in such a way that it will not be added to our account. And this is Nishkama Karma. And this is Nishkama Karma. And a very famous shlok in Bhagavad Gita, you also may be knowing, Karmanye vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala hetur bhuhu ma te sangvatsva karmani. Second chapter 47 shlok is there. Karmanye vadhikaraste means you have the full right to do the karma only. And doing karma is your right. But do not have the right on fruits thereof. No rights on fruits. Fruits are there, they are bound to come. But you don't have a right. That means you should not expect that I want this fruit for this karma. No, not at all. But doing karma is your right. That is said here. You have the full right to do the karma only, but do not have the right on fruits thereof. Let not the fruit of karma be your object. That means we should not do the karma for the fruits. Fruits are bound to come, but you should not expect or you should not do the karma for the fruits. That is what Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita. And also it is said, never be attached to not doing duty. That means you should not run away from the duty also. Mas karma phala hetur bhuhu mate sangvatsa karmani. That means you have to do the karma, you should not run away, because Bhagavad Gita is explained to Lord Arjuna. Because he was running away from the war. He came on the war field and he says, I am not going to fight. And this is the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. That is the Lord Krishna says, never be attached to not doing your duty. So you have to do your duty. For fighting in the war is your duty, so you have to do it. But don't expect the results, whether you have won or whether the others won. Don't worry about it. Arjuna was worried about who will win. And there are so many other questions for Arjuna. I am not discussing all. But basically this one, that nobody can run away from the karma, we have to do the karma. But while doing karma, we must do it fully, correctly, but we don't expect any fruits. And this is the way of Karma Yoga, or Nishkama Karma. I'll give some example, you see. A student studied hard and completed the exam confidently. That was his karma, so he has to do it, he has done it very nicely. But he should not expect the specific fruit of that karma. Suppose if he expects 95% marks as a result and he gets only 94% marks, then he will be depressed. But he cannot change this result. So he has to bear with that. But unnecessarily he is depressed. So what he should do, he must accept the result, whatever it is, and be happy. This can be done because 94%, 95%, hardly any difference. But because of his expectation which is not fulfilled, he is depressed. Instead of, Bhagavan says, you must accept the result as it is, whatever the result is there, and be happy. So this is Karma Yoga. That is why Bhagavan also says in Bhagavad Gita that everybody has to do karmas continuously throughout in the life. So do not run away from the doing karmas. This is also an important thing. Then do not worry about the results. We exactly do the opposite in our life and make our life miserable. And do not keep the attachment for the karma also. Because the attachment also makes our life miserable. So if you want to really enjoy the life doing all karmas, these are the basic concepts given by Bhagavan Shri Krishna to Arjuna. There are a few shlokas, those are important. Actually, we can say there are many shlokas in Bhagavad Gita which are discussing this Karma Yoga. But in a short period, I will just mention only 4-5 shlokas. Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjay siddha siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Bhagavan says, O Arjuna, perform your duty and abandon all attachment to success or failure. So don't worry about results. Such evenness, whether success or failure, mind will be constant, not getting disturbed. Such evenness of the mind is called yoga. Samatvam yoga. This is samatva. This is yoga. And this you must follow. So yogi must be unaffected by the positive or negative results of his duty. I will go ahead in very short because of the time constraint. Now, Bhagavan has explained some qualities of Sthita Prajna. I have given this slok number also. When a man gives up all kinds of desires that arise from mind, and when the mind finds satisfaction in self alone, then he is said to be Sthita Prajna. Then he is not disturbed with whatever is happening. Because we experience in our life, some good things are there, bad things are there. With good things we are very happy. Start jumping only. And with bad things we become very sad. So he says, no, you be satisfied in both the conditions. So it is Sthita Prajna. So Sthita Prajnata for Karma Yoga. Then same thing is continued in this, that one who is not disturbed by the miseries and also not immersed in pleasure, and who is free from attachments, free from fear or anger, is called Sthita Prajna. So Sthita Prajna, qualities of Sthita Prajna, not undisturbed, that is the main thing. Sthita Prajna itself is indication of not disturbing with anything. Then one who is able to withdraw his senses from their objects, as the tortoise draws his limbs within the shell, is to be said as Sthita Prajna. So these are qualities of Sthita Prajna, these are explained. So these are also included in Karma Yoga principles. Then a person who has given up all desires, who has given up all sense of proprietorships, and is devoted of ego. This is very important. Ego is to be dissolved. Ego is the main cause behind all miseries in our life. So then only he can attain the ultimate bliss. So this is a quality of Sthitaprajna, that is attaining over the ego. So these are 5 shlokas which gives the qualities of Sthitaprajna. So these also mentioned in your syllabus and in the part of Karma Yoga. Actually that is different. Bhagavan has explained qualities of Sthitaprajna in 2nd chapter, and Karma Yoga is explaining in 3rd chapter. But in your syllabus all these things are combined, so I just enumerated those shlokas. So with this I end my subject, because otherwise there is no limit. It's a very vast subject, and total Bhagavad Gita is devoted for this Karma Yoga. We can understand some principles of Karma Yoga, that is sufficient time being. Hari Om.